Business Model Generation by Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pignier. Introduction. It was 2001. The music industry was in chaos. A little thing called the internet had turned their entire world upside down. People were sharing music for free, and the giant record labels, who had built empires on selling plastic discs, were watching their fortunes crumble. They sued their own customers. They tried to build walls. They fought the future with everything they had. And then, a computer company from California, known for its beautiful but niche machines, did something that seemed, at the time, completely insane. They released a small, white box. The iPod. Now, the iPod wasn't the first digital music player. Not by a long shot. Others had tried and failed to capture the public's imagination. So why did this one succeed where others had failed? Why did Apple, a computer company, end up dominating the music industry? The secret wasn't just in the little white box. It was in the invisible architecture that supported it. Apple didn't just sell a product, they designed an entire system, a seamless experience. They combined the iPod device, the iTunes software, and a new online store where you could legally buy a song for just 99 cents. They made it easy. They made it elegant. They created a new way for the whole industry to work. They didn't just build a better product. They built a better business model. And that, my friend, is the heart of the story we're going to explore today. We're diving into a book that isn't just a book, it's a handbook for visionaries, a toolkit for game changers. It's called Business Model Generation by Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pignier. This book has quietly become a global phenomenon, selling millions of copies and becoming the go-to guide for startups in Silicon Valley, executives in Fortune 500 boardrooms, and even social entrepreneurs trying to change the world. The author, Alexander Osterwalder, spent years researching this topic for his PhD, trying to answer a simple but profound question: what exactly is a business model? And how can we talk about it, change it, and invent new ones in a way that everyone can understand? The result of that quest is what we're going to unpack. By the end of our time together, I promise you this: you will never look at a company, a startup, or even your own lemonade stand idea the same way again. You will be given a secret lens, a powerful tool that will allow you to see the hidden machinery that makes any organization tick. You'll understand why some giants fall and why some upstarts, like Apple with its iPod, change the world. So, let's begin our journey. Let's learn how to design the enterprises of tomorrow. Book summary. Have you ever had an idea for a business? Maybe it's a new kind of app, a local coffee shop, or even a way to solve a social problem. You feel that spark of excitement. You can see the product, you can imagine the customers. But then, what? How do you turn that spark into a real, breathing organization that works, that creates value, that sustains itself? For generations, the answer was to write a business plan, a long, dense, 50-page document filled with financial projections and market analysis that, more often than not, was wrong the moment it was printed. It was like trying to describe a living, breathing person by only listing their bone measurements. You'd get the structure, but you'd miss the soul. The authors of Business Model Generation saw this problem. They saw brilliant people struggling to explain their ideas, and established companies failing to adapt because they couldn't see their own machinery clearly. What was needed, they realized, was a shared language. A simple visual way to describe how all the pieces of a business fit together. And so, they created something revolutionary in its simplicity: the business model canvas. Imagine a single sheet of paper, a canvas, divided into 9 boxes. Just 9. These 9 boxes represent the complete story of any business, from the biggest corporation in the world to a kid selling handmade bracelets online. It's a blueprint. A map that shows how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. Think of it like this. The right side of the canvas is the stage. It's all about the customer. It's the emotional, value-driven part of the story. The left side is the backstage. It's all about the business. It's the logical, efficiency-driven part. And everything is connected. Let's walk through this map together. Let's build a business, piece by piece. The journey always begins with the most important person in any business, the customer. The first building block is customer segments. Who are you creating value for? Who are your most important customers? You can't be everything to everyone. Are you serving a mass market, like a consumer electronics company? Or a tiny specialized niche market, like a manufacturer of parts for a specific type of car? Maybe you serve multiple segments, like a bank that has different services for regular clients and for ultra-wealthy individuals. The book gives an incredible example of a company with a diversified model, Amazon. In 2006, they were a giant online retailer. But they realized the powerful IT infrastructure they'd built to run their store could be a product itself. So they started selling cloud computing services to other web companies, a completely different customer segment. They saw a hidden asset and built a new business around it. Once you know who you're serving, you can ask the next, most critical question. This is the second building block, the very heart of the canvas, the value proposition. What problem are you solving for your customer? What need are you satisfying? This is the bundle of products and services you offer. It's the reason a customer chooses you over a competitor. The value you offer can be many things. It could be newness, like when the first cell phones appeared, creating a whole new industry. It could be performance, making a computer faster or a car more fuel efficient. It could be customization, tailoring a product just for one person. Sometimes, the value is simply getting the job done. Rolls-Royce, for instance, doesn't just sell jet engines to airlines. They offer a service where airlines pay for every hour an engine is running. Rolls-Royce takes care of all the maintenance. The airline can focus on what it does best, flying planes. That's an incredible value proposition. Value can also be in design, brand/status. Think of a Rolex watch, or simply a lower price. And sometimes, it's about accessibility, giving people access to something they couldn't have before, like how NetJets made private jet travel accessible to more than just billionaires through fractional ownership. So you have your customers and you have your promise to them. Now, how do you deliver that promise? The third block is channels. How do you communicate with and reach your customer segments? This isn't just about delivery trucks. It's the entire customer journey. How do they first become aware of you? How do they evaluate your value proposition? How do they purchase? How do you deliver the product or service? And crucially, how do you provide support after the sale? You can have your own channels, like a website or a physical store, or you can use partner channels, like selling through a wholesaler. The trick is to create a seamless experience across all of them. Now, a transaction is one thing, but a relationship is another. The fourth block is customer relationships. What kind of relationship does each customer segment expect you to have with them? Is it deeply personal, like a private banker who knows a client's family? Or is it completely automated and self-service, where the customer helps themselves without ever talking to a human? In recent years, we've seen the rise of communities, where companies foster connections between users, and co-creation, where customers are invited to help design products or create content, like Amazon customers writing reviews that help other shoppers. If you get these first four blocks right, serving the right customers with the right value proposition through the right channels and relationships, you earn the right to the fifth block, the lifeblood of the business, revenue streams. This represents the cash a company generates from each customer segment. How are you capturing value? Is it a one-time transaction, like selling a book? Or is it a recurring revenue, like a subscription to a gym or a software service? There are many ways to generate revenue: asset sales, usage fees, subscription fees, licensing, advertising, and more. The book makes a brilliant point that how you price can be just as innovative as the product itself. That's the right side of the canvas. The stage. It's all about value and the customer. But to make all of that happen, you need a backstage. You need an infrastructure. This is the left side of the canvas. It starts with the sixth building block: key resources. What are the most important assets required to make your business model work? These are the things you need. They can be physical, like factories, vehicles, or a retail store network. For a company like Walmart, their physical logistics are a massive key resource. They can be intellectual, like brands, patents, or proprietary knowledge. For a company like Nike or Sony, their brand is one of their most valuable assets. They can be human. In creative or knowledge-intensive industries, the people are the key resource. And finally, they can be financial, like cash, lines of credit, or the ability to provide financing to your customers. Having resources isn't enough, though. You have to do something with them. That brings us to the seventh block: key activities. What are the most important things a company must do to make its business model work? For a software company like Microsoft, a key activity is software development. For a PC manufacturer like Dell, it's supply chain management. For a consulting firm, it's problem solving. These are the critical actions you must perform exceptionally well. But you don't have to do everything yourself. In today's interconnected world, almost no business is an island. The eighth block is key partnerships. Who are the key partners and suppliers you need? Companies create alliances to optimize their business, reduce risk, or acquire resources. It could be a strategic alliance with a non-competitor, a joint venture to develop a new business, or a simple buyer-supplier relationship to ensure you have the parts you need. Think of a mobile phone maker. They might license an operating system like Android from Google rather than building their own from scratch. That's a key partnership. Finally, we arrive at the foundation of the entire canvas. The left and right sides come together to create the ninth and final block: the cost structure. This describes all the costs you incur to operate your business model. Once you've defined your key resources, key activities, and key partnerships, you can calculate your costs. Some business models are inherently cost-driven, focusing on being as lean as possible, like a no-frills airline. Others are value-driven, where the focus is on creating premium value, and cost is a secondary concern, like a luxury hotel. And there it is. The 9 building blocks. Customer segments, value propositions, channels, customer relationships, revenue streams, key resources, key activities, key partnerships, and the cost structure. Together, they form the business model canvas. A simple tool to tell a complex story. When you map out a company on this canvas, using simple drawings or post-it notes, you suddenly see everything. You see the connections. You see the logic. You see the strengths and the weaknesses. You can see how a change in one box ripples through the entire system. This canvas isn't just a static diagram. It's a dynamic tool for conversation, for creativity, and for change. It gives you a playground to ask powerful questions. What if we changed our customer segment? What if we offered our value proposition for free? What if we got rid of our most expensive resource and found a partner to provide it instead? Suddenly, business strategy isn't some abstract concept hidden in a PowerPoint deck. It's a tangible, visual, and even playful exercise. Once you understand this map, this fundamental language of business, you can start to see recurring patterns in the wild. The authors of Business Model Generation identified several of these powerful patterns, which are like proven recipes or blueprints that visionaries have used, consciously or not, to build game-changing enterprises. Let's explore some of these patterns. The first is called unbundling business models. The idea here is that many large companies are actually three different businesses bundled into one, and these businesses often conflict with each other. There's the customer relationship business, finding and keeping customers, the product innovation business, creating new products and services, and the infrastructure management business, running large-scale, efficient operations. These three require different cultures, different economics, and different people. Think of a traditional private bank. They try to do all three. They build deep relationships with wealthy clients, they invent new financial products, and they run a massive transaction platform. The book argues that this creates conflicts. The product team pressures the relationship managers to sell the bank's own products, even if they aren't the best for the client. The cost-focused infrastructure business clashes with the high-talent, high-pay culture of the innovation team. The solution? Unbundle. Separate these businesses. Focus on being truly great at one, and partner for the others. We're seeing this in the mobile telecom industry. Companies are realizing their core asset isn't their physical network of cell towers infrastructure, it's their brand and their customer relationships. So, they're outsourcing the network operations to equipment manufacturers like Ericsson, who can do it more efficiently, and focusing their energy on serving their customers better. Then there's a pattern that the internet made famous, the long tail. Coined by Chris Anderson, this model is about selling less of more. The traditional model was about blockbusters, selling a huge number of a few hit items. A bookstore could only stock so many titles, so they focused on bestsellers. But online, shelf space is infinite. A company like Amazon can offer millions of books, not just the top few thousand. Many of these niche books sell only a few copies a year. But when you add up the sales of all those millions of niche items, the total revenue can be as large as, or even larger than, the revenue from the bestsellers. That's the long tail. The book gives the wonderful example of Lulu.com, which turned the publishing industry on its head. Traditional publishers reject thousands of manuscripts because they don't think they'll sell enough to be profitable. Lulu.com, however, allows anyone to publish their book. They use print-on-demand technology, so a book is only printed when someone actually orders it. There's no inventory cost. A book selling only 10 copies is perfectly fine for Lulu.com. They are a platform for a long tail of user-generated content, serving both niche authors and the niche audiences who want to read their work. This leads us right into the next powerful pattern: multi-sided platforms. These are businesses that bring together two or more distinct but interdependent groups of customers. A multi-sided platform is only valuable to one group if the other group is also present. This creates the classic chicken and egg problem. Think about a video game console like the Nintendo Wii. It needs to attract players. But players will only buy the console if there are great games for it. And game developers will only create games for the console if there are enough players. So how do you solve this? Often, the platform subsidizes one side to attract the other. Google is a master of this. Their business model is a three-sided platform. They service the web surfers with a fantastic search engine for free. They serve content owners, people with websites with tools to display ads and make money, also for free. They subsidize both of these groups to attract the third group, the one that pays for everything, the advertisers. The more people searching, and the more websites showing ads, the more valuable the platform becomes to advertisers, who are willing to pay to reach those audiences. Credit card companies are another classic example. They connect cardholders and merchants. They need a large base of both to be successful. That's why they often offer rewards to get you to sign up for their card. One of the most exciting patterns, especially in the digital age, is free as a business model. The idea that you can build a massive, profitable business by giving something away for free seems counterintuitive, but we see it everywhere. The book breaks down a few ways this works. One way is through advertising, which, as we saw with Google, is really a multi-sided platform model. Another is the freemium model, where you offer a basic service for free to attract a large user base, and then charge a smaller percentage of those users for premium features. Think of services like Flickr or Spotify. Millions use the free version, and their use is subsidized by the few who pay for extra storage, no ads, or more features. The key here is that the marginal cost of serving an additional free user has to be close to zero, which is why this model thrives online. Then there's the classic bait and hook model, also known as the razor and blades model. You sell an initial product at a very low price, or even give it away, to lock customers into buying high-margin, recurring products or services. Gillette famously did this with its razors, selling the handle cheaply to create a market for his disposable blades. We see it today with printer manufacturers, who sell printers at a loss to make their money on expensive ink cartridges. Mobile phone companies do it too, giving you a free phone when you sign a 2-year service contract. The final pattern is one that is reshaping how big companies innovate: open business models. This is the idea that in a world of abundant knowledge, not all the smart people work for you. So, you should open up your innovation process. This can happen in 2 ways. There's outside-in innovation, where you bring external ideas, technologies, and intellectual property into your company. Procter & Gamble, the consumer goods giant, famously adopted a connect and develop strategy. They set a goal to have 50% of their innovations come from outside the company, partnering with inventors, scientists, and other companies to find the next breakthrough product. Then there's inside-out innovation. This happens when a company has valuable assets, like patents or technologies, that it's not using. Instead of letting them sit idle, they can make them available to others through licensing or spin-offs, creating new revenue streams. Pharmaceutical company GlaxoSmithKline did this by creating a patent pool for drugs related to neglected diseases, allowing other researchers to build on their work to help the world's poorest countries. These patterns, unbundling, the long tail, multi-sided platforms, free and open innovation, are not just abstract theories. They are real-world strategies that have created and destroyed industries. And with the business model canvas, you can map them out, understand their logic, and even combine them to create something entirely new. But knowing the map and seeing the patterns is one thing. How do you actually create a new business model? How do you come up with a breakthrough idea in the first place? This is where the book shifts gears, moving from analysis to creation. It introduces a set of powerful techniques borrowed from the world of design. It suggests that to innovate in business, we don't just need to think like managers, we need to think like designers. The first technique is to develop deep customer insights. This goes beyond traditional market research. It's about developing empathy. The book introduces a wonderful tool called the empathy map. It helps you step into your customer's shoes and truly understand their world. You ask questions like, what do they see in their environment? What do they hear from their friends and influencers? What do they really think and feel, beyond what they say publicly? What are their pains and frustrations? And what are their gains, their hopes and aspirations? By building this rich profile, you move beyond demographics and start to understand the human being you're trying to serve. And that is where true opportunities for innovation lie. Once you have that deep understanding, you can move to the next technique, ideation. This is the process of generating a large number of ideas. The key here is quantity over quality, at least at first. You need to create a space where you can challenge the status quo and imagine the impossible. The book suggests using powerful what-if questions to break free from your current assumptions. What if airlines didn't sell tickets, but subscriptions? What if car manufacturers didn't sell cars, but mobility services? What if voice calls were free worldwide? These questions might sound crazy, but Skype, Zipcar, and others have turned them into reality by designing the right business model around them. As you generate ideas, you need a way to make them tangible, and that's where visual thinking comes in. This is the core philosophy of the canvas itself. Using pictures, sketches, and post-it notes helps us make abstract concepts concrete. A drawing of a business model makes it a shared object that a team can discuss, debate, and improve. You don't have to be an artist. Simple stick figures and diagrams are more powerful than pages of text because they clarify relationships and help everyone see the big picture. From there, you move into prototyping. In design, a prototype isn't just a nearly finished product. It's a tool for thinking. It's a way to explore an idea. A business model prototype can be a simple napkin sketch, a more detailed canvas, or even a spreadsheet that simulates the financial workings. The goal isn't to get it perfect. It's to build multiple rough versions of your idea to explore different possibilities. What if we try this revenue model? What if we target that customer? Prototyping allows you to learn fast, fail cheaply, and discover the best path forward without betting the farm on an unproven idea. Once you have a promising prototype, you need to communicate it. You need to get others on board. The final design technique is storytelling. A business model can be complex, and a new one can be met with resistance because it's unfamiliar. A story makes it tangible and engaging. Instead of just presenting the 9 blocks, you can tell a story from a customer's perspective, showing how your new model solves a real problem in their life. Or you can tell it from an employee's perspective, illustrating the internal logic and benefits. A good story can win the hearts and minds of managers, investors, and employees in a way that a spreadsheet never could. These design techniques transform the process of strategy from a dry, analytical exercise into a creative, dynamic, and human-centered one. But even the most brilliantly designed business model doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to survive and thrive in the real world. This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle: strategy. The book encourages you to look at your business model's environment, mapping out the external forces that can affect it. What are the key market trends? Who are your competitors, and what do their business models look like? What new technologies are emerging? What are the regulatory pressures? By understanding this landscape, you can design a more resilient and competitive model. A key part of this strategic thinking is the concept of blue ocean strategy, developed by W. Chan Kim and Renee Moborn. The idea is to stop competing head-to-head in bloody red oceans of competition and instead create new, uncontested market space, a blue ocean. This is achieved through what they call value innovation, simultaneously increasing value for customers while reducing costs. The book shows how to blend this framework with the business model canvas. You ask 4 questions about your industry. Which factors can we eliminate that the industry takes for granted? Which factors can we reduce well below the industry standard? Which factors can we raise well above the industry standard? And which factors can we create that the industry has never offered? The classic example is Cirque du Soleil. They looked at the traditional circus. They eliminated the most costly elements, star performers and animals. They reduced the focus on slapstick humor. They raised the quality of the venue to be more like a theater. And they created a theme, an artistic atmosphere, and a more refined form of entertainment. By doing this, they created a blue ocean. They weren't competing with other circuses anymore. They were competing with theater and opera, attracting a whole new audience of adults willing to pay premium prices for a sophisticated experience. When you apply these questions to each of the 9 blocks of the canvas, you can systematically challenge every assumption about your business and discover paths to creating your own blue ocean. Finally, the book provides a clear 5-phase process to guide you on your journey of business model innovation. It starts with mobilize, where you prepare for the project and assemble your team. Then comes understand, where you immerse yourself in research and customer insights. The third phase is design, the creative heart of the process, where you use the techniques we've discussed to generate and prototype new models. The fourth is implement, where you execute your chosen design in the real world. And the final phase, manage, is about continuously evolving your model in response to market feedback, because in today's world, no business model lasts forever. From a simple 9-box canvas to powerful patterns, creative design techniques, and profound strategic frameworks, business model generation provides a complete, holistic system for thinking about business. It takes the complex, mysterious art of creating a successful enterprise and makes it accessible, visual, and actionable for everyone. It gives you the tools not just to understand the world as it is, but to design the world as it could be. Commentary. As we come to the end of our journey through business model generation, I find myself reflecting on why this book has had such a profound impact. It's not just because it's a smart business book, there are plenty of those. I believe its power lies in a very simple, very human truth: we think better when we can see. For so long, the world of business strategy was trapped in language, in long reports, dense spreadsheets, and abstract concepts. It was a world for specialists. This book did something radical. It gave us a picture. The business model canvas is more than just a tool, it's an invitation. It invites everyone to the table: the engineer, the marketer, the CEO, the intern, to draw, to dream, and to debate the very essence of how an organization works. It democratized strategy. The most powerful lesson I take from this book is that a business model is not a static document, it's a dynamic story. It's a story about who you serve, what you promise them, and how you deliver on that promise. And like any good story, it needs to be told, retold, and sometimes, completely rewritten. The book doesn't just teach you how to write that story, it teaches you how to live in a state of constant, creative inquiry. What I love most is that its lessons apply far beyond the boardroom. Are you an artist trying to make a living? Map out your business model. Who are your fans' customer segments? What is the unique emotion your art provides? Value proposition. How do they discover you? Channels. How do you make money? Revenue streams. The canvas works. Are you starting a nonprofit? The canvas works. It forces you to think clearly about who your beneficiaries are, who your donors are, and how you create sustainable value for both. This isn't just a book for building companies, it's a book for building anything of value. If there's one action you can take today to bring these ideas to life, it's this: grab a napkin or a piece of paper and try to map out the business model of something you know well. It could be your local coffee shop, your favorite app on your phone, or even your school. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Just try to fill in the 9 blocks. You will be amazed at the clarity that emerges. You'll start seeing the world through this new lens, noticing the invisible machinery behind everything. That was a look at Business Model Generation by Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pignier. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful city. The map is useful, it shows you the layout, but it can never replace the feeling of actually walking those streets yourself. The real magic happens when you read the book, when you see the beautiful design, and when a particular example or a simple idea sparks something just for you. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today has lit a fire in you, if you feel that pull of curiosity, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see the world of creation and value. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. It tells us we're on the right path, and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's continue to learn and grow together.